Apple co-founder Steve Jobs passes away. What imprint did he leave on our culture, and where does Apple go from here? I'm Alan Barton. Stand by for the front page.
Remembering that you are going to die is the best way I know to avoid the trap of thinking you have something to lose. You are already naked. There is no reason not to follow your heart.
That was Steve Jobs' famous 2005 Stanford commencement speech. Joining me in our Los Angeles studios, Terry Jones, Associate Editor with Investors Business Daily, Yaron Brook, President of the Ayn Rand Center for Individual Rights. You know, guys, when I heard this news, I actually got angry, partly because he's so young and it's such a, you know, you wanted that 20, 30 more years of creativity from the guy. But I also got angry because it's the same week that we're watching these Occupy Wall Street demonstrators who are using Apple hardware and Twitter software to then bitch and moan about capitalism. And that made me angry when you have this guy who is such a singular force. And then I also was thinking about this whole tax thing, you know, going after the rich. I was going, okay, what if we tax this guy like 100%, which is apparently what they want, 90, 100%. So over 20 years, the government gets what? 10 billion, 15 billion, whatever the guy made over his lifetime, a micro fraction. And now you look at the value of Apple stock, and that stock is in people's portfolios every day, providing value, providing comfort, and backup for their financial lives. And anyway, so the hypocrisy of the current world in relation to this guy's passing really bugged me. Yaron, what were your thoughts on?
Well, I mean, I agree, but it's more than Apple stock. I mean, it's the fact that each one of us, right, has one of these or some Apple product. I have almost all of them, and the benefit that has provided to our lives far exceeds anything that's monetized in terms of his wealth or in terms of the value of Apple stock. I mean, this guy changed the world in a
and
deep
not just computers.
sense.
Changed
not computers.
Music. He changed the music industry.
He changed the film industry with Pixar. I mean, but he changed
changing the film industry again in terms of the distribution channels through iTunes.
Absolutely, but he changed the culture in the sense of how we view these products as well. So if you remember the box that is the IBM PC, and to a large extent still is the IBM PC, and the comparison between that and the design elements of the Mac, the design elements of the iPhone, you know, just the emphasis on design as important, and that aesthetic aspect of these products, that is something that I think, you know, smart companies moving into the future are going to adopt. And, you know, this is one of the real industrial, productive, creative, innovative giants of the 20th and 21st century. And I was, you know, you know, it really shook me up when I heard it. Partially, you know, he's a hero of mine. I think the way he comported himself, the way he did those presentations, the way he lived his life, that commencement address. Everybody should watch that. It's a fantastic speech.
And also the way he dealt with himself after his illness and fighting it and continuing to work. And not taking any pity on himself.
And he was criticized for that.
Continuing to inspire. Terry, what are your thoughts here on Steve Jobs' death?
Yeah, a couple of years ago when we did our People of the Year, I said Steve Jobs was my Person of the Year. Well, I put him probably my person of the last decade. He was a tremendous hero and a great entrepreneur. One of the people who's meant a lot to everyone across this country. And you know what Yaron said is exactly right. He meant a lot for people, not just for, you know, putting a little phone in their hands, but changing the possibilities in their life and enhancing their quality of life and their standard of living, and just making people a lot better off in so many ways.
Well, what's interesting is that, you know, in terms of like your thing on his design, like there was some interesting interviews where he said he was creating stuff that did not exist. They couldn't product test this stuff because people didn't know that they wanted what he was creating. And like he created online digital film editing, which I forgot, with Final Cut. And
fonts. There were no fonts before the Macintosh.
And they couldn't product test because no one knew that they wanted it yet. And so it really became about him and his vision and that sense of aesthetics.
But in that sense, he's prototypical to all producers. That is, it is false. It is this awful Keynesian myth that we live with every single day. Consumers drive stuff. Consumers drive demand. It's consumption that makes the economy. No. It's the productive genius of people like Steve Jobs, and this is true of all producers. they don't just satisfy customers. They create customer demand. Demand isn't there for the iPhone until you create the iPhone.
To have this guy passing at a time when we're wondering, how do you create jobs? I mean, I put on my Facebook, you want to create jobs? Be like Steve Jobs.
Yes.
I mean, the numbers here are unbelievable. Not only do you have like an untold increase in the stock value, say over the past 20 years, and then there was a time when they thought Apple was going out of business, but huge stock increase in value. 128 million iPhones, 62 some odd million iPads. Profits unbelievable. I mean, the most valuable company, I think, right now on Earth. Yeah. What do you see, Terry, in terms of the company going forward when you do have this very singular vision, this very singular personality at the top of it, and all of a sudden that's gone? Even though he was on leave, but he was still there, and now he's really gone. What do you see?
There's a certain amount of momentum to the company that will continue, at least for the time being. I mean, the guy, after all, had something like 338 patents. He created all these iconic products we've talked about. He apparently has products in the pipeline good enough for the next 4 years. So, I think Apple's okay for now. He has a very creative and competent team in place there. So there's no reason why they can't continue to be, a great company.
And I'm sure they've modeled his management style and documented and tried to figure out exactly what it is he does. Although you have an individual there that is very difficult.
That's going to be difficult because, as you mentioned, he did something that a lot of people don't do, and that is he didn't, get a bunch of focus groups and say, "What do you guys want?" He tried to put himself in the mind of a consumer and inhabit that in a very unique way, and sort of look forward and say, "What would I want were I a consumer? What would I do, and how would I get there?"
Yeah. All right, guys, that's all the time we have for that topic. Viewers, please add your voice to the mix. What do you think the legacy of Steve Jobs is? What is he going to leave behind? What is he going to create with the ideas that he already put in motion? Click the comment button below. Join the discussion. For Terry Jones and Yaron Brook, I'm Alan Barton. You've been watching Front Page.